Ago. Welcome to Live with Mollie. It is Tuesday and it's July 15th. We are halfway through July, which is over halfway through the year, and I'm really grateful to be here with you today. I have been thinking about landscaping lately because I am completely overwhelmed by my own. And I think it's kind of funny when you start comparing all the blades of grass and weeds that you have to all of the photo chaos that you might have. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And I'm also going to touch upon some breaking news in the photo organizing world or photo preservation world, if there can be such a thing as breaking news, but I think it's pretty new. And then I'm going to answer some questions from my viewers. If you are watching live, you could throw a question in the chat area and I'll try to answer it towards the end of the show. If you're catching this on a replay, you can still throw in your question or comment and I'll address it on a future program, okay? So thinking about the weeds that are growing, they kind of remind me of how photos just keep accumulating on our phones. And I want to remind you that if you care about your photos and saving family memories, the number one habit that you can do is to save your photos on a monthly basis. I just can't emphasize this enough. If you save your photos every month, at the end of the year, you're going to have a nice collection to go back and maybe make a photo book or enjoy some family memories together during the holidays. Maybe you make a calendar for the new year. There's so many things that happen when you save your photos monthly. Such a good habit. And I think about that in relation to the weeds in my yard. Like if I just picked a few here and there each day I was outside, or every weekend spent half an hour doing something, cleaning it up, I would be so happy with my yard. And it really does kind of make me think about, the people out there who have tens of thousands of photos accumulating on their phone and other devices. We were actually sitting out there, standing. I was trying to work on pulling the weeds and the grass out of the wood chips, which were pretty much dissolving because they needed to be replaced. And I was thinking, there's got to be 100,000 blades of grass and pieces of weeds to pick up. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Now, we had a big change in my family this year. My son started a landscaping job. He's 19, and all of a sudden he's showing some interest in helping us with our yard. So he was out there with me, and he just like shook the dirt off his hands. He's like, "Mom," wipes his hands on his pants, and he says, "It's okay. We don't have to deal with it all at once. We're going to go one step at a time." And he was just so calm about it. Like he knew exactly what to do, which is how I feel when I help people with their pictures. But it's that darn habit, developing it, that really is hard for us in so many aspects of our lives, from, the photo organizing to picking weeds to eating healthy and all the other things that, we should be doing. It's just hard. And when things accumulate, we get overwhelmed. So I think that we need to give ourselves some grace, as my sister always likes to mention. Give ourselves some grace and know that we'll catch up eventually. I have noticed through my family photos during the years, I take pictures of before and after when we do a lot of lawnscape work. And I even remember, like we rented big machines, and those were fun times, for a weekend or two where we'd be working full at it and cleaning everything up. And my photos show this before and after. And I like looking back at that. And it reminds me how good it feels, when you're back outdoors and, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. And that's what it could be like with your pictures. Now, I'm going to say that I think photo organizing is actually harder than landscaping because you are dealing with so many odd moving parts. You have the old physical and the new digital, the old digital. You have devices and computers and, phones and the old and the new, getting it all combined. And then you have streaming now and cloud storage. How do you make sense of it all? Well, I'm telling you that one habit of saving your photos monthly will help you just gain some routine and skills in working with your pictures. So when you save your photos monthly, it's like going to your phone and deleting the pictures you'll never need again and the screenshots, okay? Then you're going to take your favorite photos, the majority of the family photos that are left in my case, and you're going to copy them to a folder on your computer or upload them to an album in a cloud storage site. Now, we really love using forever permanent storage. And if you need the steps on how to save your photos monthly, you're going to check the show notes later, and I'll have links for videos on that, as well as our weekly e-newsletter. We remind people to save their photos monthly. So keep it top of mind. Now, how are your June photos looking? We're halfway through July. For my part, June was a very big month for our family. We traveled to Colorado and saw some beautiful, national parks. We also have a puppy. So I had over 600 photos, very unusual for me. And my first run through, I weeded, let's say that. I weeded out about 200 I knew I didn't need. Now I need to go back one more time, and then I'll be ready to get those pictures up into my Forever account. So your number of pictures could vary. It could be 25 that you saved from last month. Some people who have lot of children events and family events, they could have a few hundred or more. The point is start deleting and just saving the ones that are important. And when you do that, you will feel a little bit of calmness that one part of your photos are shaping up. Now, speaking of weeds, I really have to tell you that when I am looking at a solution for preserving photos, I dig into the weeds because I really want to understand, what I'm looking at, how it works, and will it be a solution that my viewers can wrap their heads around? Because there's so much technology that's introduced out there. And I always say our ability to keep up with technology has way surpassed the technology. It's the technology. The technology has far surpassed our ability to keep up with it. And this brings me to PhotoSphere. PhotoSphere is a device that was marketed really heavily over the period, I'd say the last 2 years or so. And this is my breaking news. PhotoSphere, this solution, which I'm going to show you a video in a second, this solution, people really were liking it. All right, so let's just take a look at what PhotoSphere is or was.
What if you had access to all your photos from all your devices from anywhere in the world without expensive and complicated cloud services?
I've been helping people back up their data from their phones for over 15 years.
Introducing PhotoSphere, your personal cloud backup solution. You can easily access all your data from all your devices. And you can invite others to share photos or even back up their own devices. Let PhotoSphere give you comfort in knowing that all your cherished memories will be preserved and available for all to see.
Oops. So that sounded wonderful. We can't, argue with how good that product sounded. And PhotoSphere involves, connecting all of your devices to the one you saw on the video. And then those devices, sorry about that. All of those devices are sending the photos to the one PhotoSphere. It's really just I think, a really fancy external hard drive. And people, bought it. They spent something like between $250 and $400 for it, and it's still for sale out there. It is not working though, and the only reason I know this is because one of my dear clients, Dennis, he purchased it about, I'd say 2 years ago. He purchased PhotoSphere right after the company Ibby discontinued their photo saving device. So he was really hopeful this was the solution he was looking for. However, last week he emailed me and said it wasn't working anymore. He had his wife and his phone photos going to it, as well as it was connected to his computer and was consolidating pictures to one location. He wasn't exactly sure how it was working, but he was learning how to use, File Explorer to figure all of that out. In the meantime, he noticed that it stopped syncing. So he emailed the company. That gentleman, I think that you saw in the video, actually replied, and it was a nice email, and it came pretty fast. In the email, this is the reply that he got from the PhotoSphere support people. It says, "Thank you for reaching out. We completely understand how frustrating it can be when a product or service you rely on changes unexpectedly." This happens all the time in the photo world, like updates, discontinuations, rethinking how products work. It happens to my clients all the time, these changes. In this case, for Dennis, PhotoSphere is being discontinued. The email goes on to say, "We've made the difficult decision to discontinue the PhotoSphere cloud service." And they worked really hard to maintain it, but the ongoing operational cost to keep the platform running became unsustainable, and with a limited number of active users. It goes on to explain this, and he also gets directions on how to copy the pictures from the PhotoSphere to his computer. And I thought it was a really nice effort, but Dennis, if he wasn't monitoring how his device was working, he might never have known. That's what happened. People kind of get lulled into a sense of security, and then all of a sudden they realize my device hasn't been backing my pictures up for a long time. So Dennis, got this answer. I searched for news about PhotoSphere on the web, and this was not publicly disseminated. Like, it wasn't publicly shared on a news site at all. And I find it interesting. PhotoSphere was sold in a lot of places. Amazon, I think, even still has it listed, and Walmart and other places. So they didn't even make a public announcement about it. Shutterfly at least gave their users, some amount of months before their shared photo service ended. So it's pretty disappointing. And it reminds me to remind you that you cannot rely on other things to manage your pictures. You've got to stay on top of it somehow. Now, interestingly, this is more in the weeds, but you're going to know how my thought process works now. I looked into PhotoSphere further to just see what exactly it was supposed to do. And I found information on one of the pages that still had the PhotoSphere for sale. And the information talked about how PhotoSphere comes with a license of Tonfotos. That's Tonfotos, Tonfotos for Windows or Mac computers. I am aware of Tonfotos. I actually tested it and I liked it. I thought it was really intuitive. It was simple and it was different looking. I liked it, but I don't just stop at the interface of software. I look behind the scenes and see who owns the company, where it's, coming from and all of that. And with Tonfotos, I realized that it was, I think, founded by a gentleman named Andre Isaev, who I'm sure is a really, really nice guy. He's smart. He developed this software. As I worked my way through the internet learning more, Andre's LinkedIn page shows him as in Moscow, Russia. So I have to assume that the software has some Russian, component that is it being developed there. I'm not exactly sure, but I did try reaching out, and I think I got confirmation. This was a couple years ago, so I haven't recommended it because, like, Russia went to war with Ukraine, and you probably don't want to upload your pictures to a company that's in a country at war with, people that, didn't deserve that. So it's kind of like, TikTok and China, Tonfotos and Russia. I can't say anything, and maybe in a few years, peace will break out and all will be good. But anyway, that's how in the weeds it goes. And when you think about photo privacy, some places might not respect that, okay? And that leads me into my next piece of news. This is interesting because we're talking about Tonfotos, which I think was a potential solution if it was in a different country. And then we're going to talk about Forever permanent storage. And the reason why this is in my news section is because the founder of Forever is Glenn Niekamp. And Glenn lives in Pennsylvania. That's where the company is based out of. His background is in the tech world. He had a large internet-based business that did phenomenally well. And after he got out of that, he was able to found Forever so that people had a permanent place for their pictures that was private and secure. And recently, Glenn started a podcast. His background included actually having a radio talk show back maybe 10 years ago, and he really enjoyed talking with people about different topics in life. And this podcast is kind of replicating that, but with a new twist, because he's had all these years with Forever. And he had his second episode July 3rd, I think, or somewhere in the beginning of July, and it was a special episode for July 4th. He talked about the American Revolutionary War, the anniversary of our armed services, and how important, history is. He's so passionate about it. It was very fun to watch him talk about something that wasn't related to Forever. I have a quick clip here to share with you because I think you'll get a sense of his enthusiasm for history as well as why he started Forever.
We all need to know that. We need to know the history. One reason I love my company Forever so much, and I even do this podcast, is I love family history. I think everybody should know the history of their family. I love the big history too. And I think that we should all know how our family histories fit into the big history. Because this is big stuff. I mean, think about how your life would be different if these events I'm talking about hadn't occurred. So what are the takeaways from this? We all need to know.
And that's enough for you to kind of get an idea of his energy and his interest in preserving family photos and helping families tie that historical context of life back in the day to, how we're here in this world now. So quite a big difference between PhotoSphere and Forever. And again, I'll have links below if you want to learn more about Forever. We think very highly of the service, and it has been the simplest solution for us to teach people. All right, so with that, teaching people is one of the things that this podcast is supposed to help to do. And I've got some questions to answer, and I'm going to just get this up here to set the stage for you. we have a video on our channel that's called Getting Your Photos from Your iPhone to Your PC. And this is one of our most popular videos. I get a lot of questions about this. So this particular person asked the question, after we copy the folder to the PC, how do we delete the folder from the iPhone? So for you people who use your iPhone and you have a Windows-based computer, one of the things that I teach is that you copy your pictures from your iPhone to your computer. And you do that with a USB cable. And when you connect your phone to your computer, you get the File Explorer to show you your iPhone. And you can see all these folders in your internal storage, okay? And all those folders on the iPhones now, it didn't used to be this way, have a date. The folders have a date. So you can see your folders from 2016, October, 2025, January. You can see all of that, and you can easily copy a folder over to your computer. Well, our question was, after copying the folder to the PC, how do we delete the folder from the iPhone? And this is one of those areas that Apple keeps secret from us, I think. They don't let us delete photos from our iPhone. So I want to point out that on my screen here, I'm able to share that I have a folder that says 1915-07. And that would be a photo that was the date was changed on it to be July of 1915. And if I wanted to delete that folder from my iPhone, I would just think I could just click the delete button. So when I did that, I had a message come up that says, are you sure you want to permanently remove the folder 1915-07 and all of its contents? The only thing that was in there is one photo that I believe was taken in 1915. And I clicked yes, I want to delete that because I have it saved somewhere else. And that's what this person was saying. He had it copied to his computer. So I want to delete it from the iPhone. I clicked yes. And then I get two windows that come up, and one says, oh, it couldn't be deleted. The device has either stopped responding or has been disconnected. And then I have like a window that says deleting, but it's not making any progress. So this tells me you cannot delete a folder on your iPhone while it is connected to your computer. All right. The only way that you can delete a folder is to delete the pictures on your phone that would be in that folder. So I took that one photo on my iPhone, I opened my iPhone and I deleted that picture. And then I reconnected my phone to my computer and the folder was gone. So what is happening is Apple is giving you the structure to look at your pictures in a folder format. It is not allowing you to edit the folder format, all right, or delete any folder from it. You have to delete from your phone. And that can be tedious too, because, some people have a lot of photos to delete from their phone, but that's how it works. Now, related to the same question, an iPhone, one of my other viewers was trying to figure out how to get the captions on the iPhone. And he wrote something that I wasn't quite sure what he meant, but he just noticed in his settings that there is not a caption photos. He has an older iPhone 12, and I'm not quite sure what he meant. So what I'm going to tell you is this does bring up an interesting question, and I want to make sure people are using their time wisely. So when you have a photo on your iPhone, and I think this is true for Google and Android photos as well, when you open that photo and kind of swipe up, you get more information about the picture and you can add a caption. Some people have added tons and tons of captions to their pictures on their phone because it looks easy and it's fun. The problem is no one else will easily be able to read that caption. And that's kind of where it gets frustrating. When you copy that picture to your PC, the caption doesn't come over in the way that you would think. And there probably is workarounds for this, but man, we have to keep track of so many things, and the captions or comments is just, one little piece of that. So what I did is I had a picture of our two dogs, and I just put a caption that my husband said. I just put a caption on that said, "Our two handsome boys." And then I copied that photo over to my PC, and I looked at the properties of the photo. And you can do that by right-clicking on a photo in File Explorer. And the caption was not there. So it got lost. And I fear that people, rely on using their captions and their comments and, editing other metadata on their phones. And then that work doesn't actually translate over easily to their computer or another place they want to save it. So I would just caution people on the captions, and how they do that, because it's probably more important to make sure you save your photos monthly in some place than adding captions to everything that you may or may not be able to see sometime in the future. The next question that I have that came up on my channel was related to the new iPhones. Christian writes that he sees the new iPhones are going to have a 48 megapixel camera. And I know that's big. I don't know how big, but I think that that's a really big size. And your photos might go from being 1 to 4 megabytes to being 8 to 12 or more megabytes. And that's going to eat up your iPhone storage space as well as your iCloud storage space. So he was wondering how you might be able to save those photos with less megapixels. And this is an issue only for people who have the latest iPhones, I think 16. And the way that you would make sure that you don't take pictures at 48 megapixels is you go into your camera settings and formats. From what I can tell, this is like an opt-in. If you want this, you're going to go into settings to turn it on. And you would go into the formats and then turn it on. If you wanted to make sure that you weren't taking that size of picture, you'd go into formats on your latest iPhone and make sure that Pro RAW and resolution control was turned off. So hopefully not many of us are taking pictures that are that big. That's what the good DSLR camera is for. Although I certainly see that many more people are using their iPhone. Even professionals are using their iPhone, and iPhone photography is becoming huge. So Apple is responding to what they hear people want. And I did put up another screenshot of the different types of picture formats that you can take in the Pro default setting. But like I said, I don't think that's going to apply for most of us here. Okay, so those are the questions that I wanted to touch upon from the people who've been watching my channel, and I am definitely got a little click happy there. I am definitely open to answering any other questions that people might want to post either now or later. In terms of helping people, you can always come back here on most Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Central Time. That's when Live with Mollie is going to air, and I will try to answer your questions. We deal with questions from the print pictures over to digital and lots of things in between. In fact, someone did ask a question about photo storage boxes, and you can go to thepixplan.com and see our photo organizing tools and check the suggestions that we have out there for that. The last thing I'll mention is we do have a cruise coming up in February. If you want to check the information out about that, let's see if I've got it here. Yep. It's February 16th through the 21st. We also will be having a virtual boot camp in September. And I just want to encourage you to dig into those weeds that are your pictures, get them out, the photos you're never going to need again, and save June's photos. It will really help you, next month when you need to save July's photos. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining. We will see you the next time. Bye-bye.